Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and we're playing here on the Plateau of the Dead. It's going to be myself playing as the Order of the Loremasters here against an enemy force with the Vampire Counts. I'm going to be showing you two battles with myself fighting off against the Vampire Counts, different opponents each time. But I did want to show you kind of a new build that I've been playing around with, and it is kind of this, I call it the Star and Sword build, mostly because it has a prince mounted on a Star Dragon. So the most impressive one, the most teched up and awesome beastie that you can field here. I don't play with them too often, but I figured I'd do a build that was kind of built around it. So essentially what I've brought is, well, here's your star, and then your sword is going to be 4 of these Swordmasters of Hoeth. Really great infantry, top tier guys, are going to really perform well against a lot of the chaff of the Vampire Counts. See these guys moving forward. So yeah, they're going to engage quite efficiently against the enemy. I also have a White Lines of Trace unit, anti-armor as well, because I figured there'd be a fair amount of Graveguard, which there are, so I'll chew through that fairly easily. I also have a single unit of Dragon Princes. These are going to be anti-large kind of operating units that kill enemy Vargulfs or other big beasties, or even hammer and anvil on a main line. And then I also have a Loremaster of Hoeth. He has 2 spells on him. One that, oh, I can't highlight it. But anyways, one is going to be the one Earthblood that heals you. The other one is going to be the one that it's like Convalescence or something. It gives you more melee defense. So he's just here to buff up and heal up your main line or even your lord in battle. I also brought another flying unit because I knew this prince up here would be exposed. So I've brought a Great Eagle to defend him. Meanwhile, here comes the enemy build, so it is a pretty interesting one. I've been seeing a lot of this on the Vampire Counts recently. Flying Death Squad with a big main line of fodder units, and then always hiding some sort of Necromancer unit in the back that can continuously raise dead, or just, you know, a hidden lord somewhere to so that you don't have debilitating crumble if your lords die. So that's his build. So up through the center, he has 4 of these Graveguard with 1 elite, 1 a Sternsman with healing. He has 5 of these Crypt Whores, tons of dudes, and then 2 Skeleton Spearmen. So already a pretty beefy main line. You can see his numbers 1,000 compared to my 423, so that's a little bit scary. And then what does he have coming at me? Again, another scary build. You have a Strigoi Ghoul King mounted on his Terrorgeist, then you have an actual Terrorgeist flying next to him, and then you have a Vampire with the Lore of Death. So that is a pretty scary death squad flying at me and do a lot of damage, and this thing is built around Lord Sniping. So I was initially a little bit scared, but what I figured I'd do is, you know, I'm going to have to take this battle eventually. I'm going to be chased around with my lord, so what I want to do is perhaps just accept my fate and engage in this battle. And so what I do is I try and commit my Great Eagle here just to slow down the enemy. And then what I was going to try and do is get a breath spell off with my prince against one of these units. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and make haste to engage with the enemy main line. But besides that, not too much to be done with this build. It's a relatively small one, so not too much to micro. And all you want to do is just make sure that your lord is getting in the best of engagements, and that your Loremaster of Hoeth here is going to be around to help units out, buffing them, etc. He also has some passives that I didn't quite equip in this battle, but you'll be seeing me do this in the second battle. Anyways, here you can see me. I tried to do a spell. The breath spell, and then I guess he did Spirit Leech on me, and I guess that broke my ability to cast my spell, so I was a little bit ticked off about that happening, because I was hoping to get a sick, nasty spell against one of these 2 units and really destroy them. But anyways, what I've got here is 2 units up in the air, fielding off against these Terrorgeists. The enemy does have, well, 2 Terrorgeists facing off against me, one of them being a Lord, and then he also has the Vampire in the rear. Now, this is a target that I can actually handle fairly well. With all sorts of abilities, Harmonic Convergence, the Bane Shield, this prince is going to be super tanky. So you can see him here almost destroying this Terrorgeist. And what you need to do is chase after these Terrorgeists and make sure that they can't regen. So I lose my 1 force here. And unfortunately, he's now able to tag team me and keep me pinned. But this Strigoi Ghoul King, super low on health. So that is really troublesome. I need to continue to hit these targets before they can regen, but he has so many of them that he can kind of dance in all directions. But here you go, I'm going after this Ghoul King. I get a breath spell. Most of it whiffs, but it could have done a lot of damage. Anyways, the main line is underway. My opponent is just kind of standing there with his main force, not really wanting to bring the fight to me, kind of biding his time for the lords in the air. But yeah, I'm committing with one of my white lines, and then up through his main line. If he's going to stand still, then I'm going to hammer him right in the front. with my units, do a pretty good amount of damage to these Graveguard, and disengage without taking too much HP loss. And I'm just softening up these big targets for my Swordmasters of Hoeth to get in. And then I also see that he has this Necromancer in the back that I probably want to get in after. In the rear, meanwhile, I'm still dealing with these lords. I figure I want to get rid of this Vampire of Death because she can have Immortal Will. She has all kinds of stuff that she can do to replenish the HP and suck the HP of my guys. In a melee brawl, I can probably take out the enemy, and so I really want to see her off the fight. Meanwhile, you know, this is buying time for my main army to do damage. I am pulling over with my Dragon Princes here. I could use them in the main line, but I was scared of both of these lords dropping down and taking out my Loremaster of Hoeth, so I wanted this guy nearby just to offer some support. Anyways, the lady has been seen off completely on the battlefield. I'm not going to chase her away for the entirety of that, because I spot an opportunity to come back, hit this Strigoi Ghoul King with some HP, with some damage. He gets the breaths back on me, but I'm going to try and engage with these guys. The problem is he got 2 spells right against me, so I'm taking so much punishing damage here. And yeah, now he can just kite, and this is a problem. This Vampire with the Lore of Death can just wait for the mana to replenish and then keep going after my guys, continuing to suck the lifeblood out of me. Knowing that they're not going to commit to this Loremaster, I'm going to come back with the Dragon Princes and recommit to the main line. I've softened out this entire blob with all of my guys, and now Swordmaster is going to be in here in the rear to come and cleave through the remainder. So yeah, maybe the lords have been doing a number on my lord. I'm making mince work of the main vampire line with not much trouble. Although this Necromancer back here is trying to do all kinds of stuff, increasing the power reserve, and this is actually really smart. What he's doing is he's actually buffing up the ability on the priestess. I'm not quite sure where she went. Okay, she's still here. But yeah, anyways, that Necromancer is here to give her more mana and really help out these units. He's got all kinds of Spirit Leech. At this point, I didn't commit optimally. I should have committed to finishing off that Terrorgeist in the very beginning, chased it to until it was off the map, and then committed piecemeal. By bouncing between units here, I'm going to end up losing my Lord. But the question is at this point, have I done enough damage to this force to see them off? I do commit one of my Swordmasters of Hoeth to try and destroy this Necromancer. If I can get him off the battlefield, it will reduce a lot of the potential spells that he can get. And yeah, I just want to be able to get rid of him. Over here, I was trying to get my Lord to land down into the mix, but unfortunately he gets caught. And there he goes, the star plunging, but the swords still stand. And the enemy is crumbling here, so, you know, if I can hold up this line pretty decently, take out that Necromancer, that I'm hoping to get kind of a chain debilitation on all these units, and I still have these Dragon Princes, which means if the enemy Lord, Horde lands in my men, I can do a fair amount of damage to them. Pretty heavily. But this is going to be a pretty scary moment where they're going to unleash with 2 breath spells, and that is going to do quite a number. I was hoping that they would have run out, but no, with 2 of these Terrorgeists, they're going to be able to just savage my line. So there goes a huge amount of my numbers. Those guys were so strong, and then they dropped almost nothing. So that takes a huge chunk out of my forces, and the tides are now going to be turning. I do still have my Loremaster of Hoeth, so I do still have some swords and some elites here to help out. But man, the enemy hero count has been doing quite a number, not only on my Lord, but also on my other units. But once they do land, I can hew through them with my pretty good numbers. And there you go, finally going to be crippling this Vampire with the Lore of Death. My Dragon Princes are going to disengage from this fight and then come back in from this flank and try and surround this Strigoi Ghoul King. So looks like I still have some hope, and unfortunately this Vampire with the Lore of Death again is able to slip away with just a sliver of health there. Really problematic for me. I'm also committing too heavily to this Necromancer. I should have sent the Dragon Princes to see him off. I was hoping he would have routed way sooner. But no, he is just pulling one of my healthy units out of the mix. Back to the main fight here. I'm circling in on this Strigoi Ghoul King, doing a fair amount of damage to him. The other Terrorgeist has been pulled in as well to try and help out. I'm circling up, and he's unfortunately able to just pull through here. And again, look to the skies, the Lord of Night here, to try and heal up. And this is rough. These vampire builds that are built around owning the skies and owning the Lore of Death. Oh my god, she's hanging on with the sliver. And yeah, there you go, another breath spell also going to be doing a number on me. That being said, we are getting, we still have some decent health in here. starting to get also the Terrorgeist. Another thing I didn't mention, these guys have the ability to terrorize units, so even healthy units like Loremasters can get dealt damage. Oh, looks like she does die from a bill of debilitation. So if I can hold on here, we may end up getting some weak binding and debilitation taking effect on all these guys. So the clock is ticking, and I just have to rally my numbers here. They are temporarily going to be broken by these terror-imbuing units, but I should rally here soon once the effect wears off. Loremaster unfortunately is going to be seen off, but he will recoup, and he still does have some mana on him to hopefully regen on my guys. But yeah, the enemy is also crumbling. A lot of these guys getting super low as well, so this is on a knife's edge here, I would have to say. And with that, I'm able to finally catch up with that Necromancer on the corner of the map. Not sure where he died, his body disintegrating into the sand. He was that old. But yeah, now I pull back my unit, and you can see the loss of that Necromancer is going to be having a pretty good effect on his units. Meanwhile, my guys are going to be routing. I'm waiting for my Loremaster of Hoeth to rally as well. And there you go. So now I have some units back up and running. Dragon Princes should be coming back, and I only have a little infantry blob that I need to take out and a very healthy Swordmasters of Hoeth unit. The unfortunate part it is very far away. And now with these circling lords, I have to survive their repeated strikes. I don't have quite a good way to punish them. So you'll notice there, he does a little bit of a glitch, lands, does some damage, and attempts to pull away. Luckily, both of them did a bit of a dance there, so they couldn't quite engage. But I'm going to circle back around and start to hew into them with my healthy units. Relatively healthy units, I would have to say. Doing a fair amount of damage on these guys, and I'm still holding up pretty well. Loremaster with good health, and he can do a fair amount of work on these units as well, so pretty happy. Grip Ghoul is going to try and commit, but looks like I'm able to dissuade this without taking too much losses. It's this chain of shambling dead that I really need to get rid of. If I can get rid of these guys, which is the only unit I can really engage with, these guys can just circle around and regain their health the whole time, which is really troublesome for me. So unfortunately, I'm going to be having to commit something to this force to see it off. And yeah, I tried to land a strike with my Dragon Princes before they shattered, but landing these two in and amongst them is going to be doing a number. And here comes the last of my princes, this Loremaster. Gonna try and help out, but he sees the shadow of death descending upon him. Doing a bout face just to mitigate the strike damage. But yikes. Things are not looking good for me here. With that, he shatters another force. I'm coming back. The odds are slowly swinging against me. The enemy down to 197 men, which is pretty substantial considering how many he started off with. My guys keep coming back, so once I can get over that, terror, I should be okay, but it's just, with two of those consistently chomping on my guys, taking off, healing, landing, and doing the strike damage, it's an uphill battle. The last, perhaps, saving grace that I might have is this extremely healthy Swordmasters of Hoeth unit. We'll fast forward as I decide, everyone else is routing, might as well rest just a hair, and then try and commit to this fight. I launch myself into the main line because the enemy units are at a distance, hoping again to get critical numbers and get debilitation on the enemy. And we're going to be doing tons of damage. But now the monsters are going to come in, and this is the point you got to be wary of when they come in and land and get that terrifying... Oh my god, that was brutal. Yeah, and army losses should start to hit me here soon. Still holding out somewhat. Looks like the White Lions of Shraice coming back. So this shows the staying power of my build. Definitely with these elites paying off. But it also, we've been seeing the staying power of these Terrorgeist units. And with that, I'm going to end up losing the fight. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick battle. I will be showing you another replay here soon against another vampire build. Similar composition on my end, but yeah, that was this one. I did want to show you kind of how it plays out. So I think I could have tuned my build a little bit better, and I could have played a little better. So tuning the build, for instance, bringing that Great Eagle was maybe a little bit good for tying down the enemy, but the execution wasn't great. You saw in that initial engagement, I should have stepped back and just gotten more and more breath spells on. I really wasted those, but part of it was when I tried to get one off, it glitched out when the enemy did try to suck my soul, and so that prevented me from doing anything. What I should have done is just triggered it again, gotten a lot of damage, charged in, and then committed to the charge against those Terrorgeists. You saw how much damage I put onto the enemy lords. I did enough to kill them all, but because I allowed them to disengage, they were able to regen. And had I just focused on a single lord at a time with both of my units, I could have easily dominated the skies. And then as you saw, the rest of this was pretty easy pickings in terms of the line infantry. The other thing that I did wrong was that Necromancer should have chased him down with the swifter Dragon Princes, who weren't necessary, you know, elsewhere on the battlefield. Should have killed him off, and then had that other Swordmaster, instead of him going, you know, across the battlefield, he should have been just staying here in the melee to take out this blob, and then I would have ended up with much healthier numbers, where at that point, even if I had lost my lords, I would have had healthy infantry and yeah, Dragon Prince, and I could have sustained that with just enemy units in the air, where all they would have been left to be able to do is, you know, land in amongst my guys, and I could have tied them down. But yeah, that's all afterthought. With that being said, let's go ahead and load the other one that I have here. Yeah, we'll take a look at this. And first thing you'll notice is I've changed my build a little bit. So instead of the Great Eagle, I have a Noble on an Eagle, and this is going to be beneficial because he has more abilities stacked onto him. I do have to strip out a White Line of Trace in order to afford that upgrade, but I think it's beneficial. I'm also, with this Loremaster of Hoeth, I believe I gave him another ability as well, which allows him to have a buff which gives nearby units magical resistance. So in that sense, he can also assist the lords up in the sky. If I plonk him under both of these lords, he'll give them magical resistance against, I believe, breath spells and soul blight and all that stuff. So these three kind of working in conjunction. Even though he's on the ground, he can give good support in terms of health regen, in terms of harmonic convergence. He can do a lot of good work. So yeah, here's this little squad that I was talking about, and this is a lot more robust. I think if I had brought this last time, I definitely could have taken out the enemy goon squad. Just the ability of having a lord on a Great Eagle. You can see the weapon that he has here is going to be doing so much damage to enemy heroes. So yeah, this is more of a hunting squad, whereas the other one was a little bit more exposed. And this is, you know, at the cost of a White Lines of Trace, this was definitely worth it. The rest of my build here is going to be similar. Swordmasters of Hoeth and a single Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince is here just to knock about things like dire wolves and perhaps Fargulfs. Anyways, the enemy build this time around is going to be a little bit different than the one I faced before. It's not going as much for the domination of the sky, which means I can go after his Fellbats. It looks like he just put down a lot of numbers, expecting the High Elves here to have a lot of archers, and he would just swarm me with dire wolves, and then also use Banshees, which have pretty good physical resistance. He would have just swarmed me and used these to gang up against my lords, etc. So pretty good build. He also has Manfred von Karstein on a steed who can raise dead and do all kinds of stuff. He's a pretty good melee combatant. So overall, he was, you know, he's going for a different angle, domination of the ground. And we'll see how my build fields off against this, because I invested a bit more heavily in dominating the skies. But also what this does mean is, you know, because I'm not contested up in the air, I think this Prince on the Star Dragon is going to be able to do a lot more damage. And then also be wary that I'm going to choose my battles carefully here. Going to get in and just get strikes on vulnerable units. So these dire wolves, daring the enemy to come in. So Manfred is going to come in. The Barded Black Knights going to come in as well. Then all I have to do is pull out of that fight and leave my Swordmasters of Hoeth engaged. I do get a breath spell off, although I was hoping it would hit this central cluster, and it does whiff, so that was my bad. But now I'm going to go ahead and commit my lord into this mix. I'm not too worried about Manfred here, just because as we saw in that previous battle, I can really take out enemy lords, no problem with this Star Dragon. Yeah, it would probably be better to circle above and get some breath spells, but I already wasted it. So I'm just going to go ahead and commit here and do some early damage. Meanwhile, the other flanks, I'm just going to shore up my sides with these Swordmasters of Hoeth. And yeah, just hold strong. The Loremaster is also up here. He's getting some spells off, and I pop almost everything on my Lord. So you can see just how well this is stacking. Weapon strength is ridiculous. Melee defense 85, so he is doing work on all of these forces, drawing a lot of damage away from my Swordmasters and just letting them do what they do best. Meanwhile, I still have my Noble on his Eagle. Was a little bit of a miscalculation to put him in the back with the Fellbats so early on, because those don't really matter. Should have had him chasing down lords, but that's exactly what he's going to be doing here. I pull out with my Prince for the time being, I didn't want him taking too much damage. I'm going to pop Earthblood on my guys just to top them off. Dragon Prince is holding out well. And then, yeah, my Lord's going to circle around. He's going to wait for his spell to come back, or his breath to come back, and then I'm going to roast these guys. So he's going to target Manfred. And there you go. That's what I'm talking about. So that's how you want to use that breath spell. So that drops him down to almost half. He's going to use Invocation of Nehek to try and boost up that health. But man, I got another one of those in my pocket. And yeah, forcing his lords back. Meanwhile, you know, with my mobility, I'm able to just pounce around and save my swords. This is the star and the sword that I'm talking about in this build. So yeah, able to really own these guys. And the Banshees are going to be chasing me. Pretty decent choices in the sense that they don't, they have a fair amount of physical resistance, so they're not going to take too much damage. But in terms of dishing out damage, just not really going to do that much. And then I also have my Loremaster, who's just going to wait in here, and he can trade with them pretty handily. You know, he's going to be, again, disengaging and trading in my Prince. He can take a beating if he needs to. And, oh, actually looks like my opponent was so busy microing all these units, he forgot to commit all of these. But I will, you know, I'll greet them easily. My Swordmasters are having a ball here. Let's get another nice shot here. There you go, breath coming in. Against the enemy units, was trying to hit some of these knights with barding. Try and see them off the fight. It looks like it did a little bit of damage to my Dragon Princes. I think I was trying to hit Manfred and it may have missed. But anyways, he's doing Master of the Black Arts to try and rebuff himself. And popping all sorts of stuff. He's going to be raising dead. Trying to keep zombies off his back. But look at every pounce, how much damage I do. Blade of Bel-Korhadris. Pop this when you get close to a Lord and you do ridiculous damage. So yeah, this is a Lord Hunter. I'm going to take off real briefly and then circle back around on Manfred. And yeah, his days are numbered here. With no flying goon squad to save him, I'm going to be able to pounce and exterminate. There you go. That's pretty awesome. Woo! And you can throw all the infantry you want at the Star Dragon. If it's not halberds and it's not spears, I mean, you're not going to be getting anything done. Yeah, now he's hanging on to threads, tendrils of his health, drained and crumbling. He's going to try and circle back on my guy. But all I have to do is disengage and get my noble back in the mix. Yeah, I can pull out fairly easily. Just waiting, pulling the enemy through my Swordmasters, who are just, like I said, having a field day here, cleaning up the enemy. And there you go. Going to be able to just, again, with my Loremaster, get Earthblood, top off that dragon, keep it going. And now that he's been rejoined by his buddy, the prince there, on the eagle, we're going to be able to do work. There you go. Manfred getting completely slaughtered in the back. Yeah, this is. I feel like this build is pretty solid against vampires. I think yeah, I think this build is definitely the one you should be rocking. Bringing the prince here with a noble, and then also kitting out your Loremaster with the magic resistance buff. All those in conjunction can hold out against a sky heavy build from the enemy. I think this would have beaten my opponent last time. And then on the ground, I mean, all Swordmasters of Hoeth, you'll be able to kill almost anything the vampires can throw at you. The only thing that they could do is perhaps try and have a bit more, you know, Vargulfs might be an issue. But that's where you save the Dragon Princes. The Dragon Princes in that case should just be mirroring wherever that Vargulf goes and shut him down. And then if you can afford to, get a breath spill off against it. Anyways, you can see that these, well, now they're debilitated and crumbling. But these Banshees were taking almost no damage earlier. So that's why I like bringing them when they're the vampires. That physical resistance being so helpful. But there you go. So victorious. The star and the sword build that I present to you. Go ahead and try it out in multiplayer. Play it as I did. I think it works pretty well. Haven't been able to test it against other factions for some reason. The two quick battle factions that I played against were both vampire counts. But yeah, I'll be trying it against other factions, and you can always tinker with these builds. But I think this one is kind of an interesting one to try out, and it's a good opportunity to play around with the Star Dragon there. It's always fun to have these beasties. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, let's end the replay. take a look at the stats and just ridiculous kills across the board against chaff units. 361, 297, 174, 173, and almost no damage done to them. I mean, yeah. Dragon Prince is doing work, and all of these guys doing tremendous work as well. From the enemy side, not much opposition they could put up. He tried, this was a good build if he was going to counter maybe me sitting back and having, an archer-heavy build, which you might expect from the elves. But this one, just, I don't want to say hard counters, but it counters it pretty heavily. So yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.